Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Evan Olbricht. I'm a professional surf and sports photographer here in San Diego. Today I want to talk about the top 5 editing mistakes that are ruining your photos. So I want to get right into this. I actually have one of my first photos that I've ever taken or remember taking with my GoPro when I started doing photography. And this is kind of a key to what I'm talking about today, which is over editing your photos is a crucial mistake for a lot of beginner photographers. And I think that almost every photographer has made this mistake. I got this printed. I think I actually sold one somehow in like middle school at like an art fair, which is just hilarious. But there's so many more examples of photos like this from me and from almost every other photographer in surf photography or really anything that over edits their photos. This could be from on their phone, Lightroom, and just not knowing the techniques and maybe what even they're looking for, a style to follow, and they're kind of just doing whatever. So actually having maybe a style to follow can really help you have your photographers that you really look up to, the style that you really like, and say, hey, I want my photos to look more like this, more neutral toned, and actually work on those colors. Another thing that I do is I'll step away from editing. So I'll edit everything from a session, and then I'll step away from a few hours, or even I'll usually look at it like the next morning or the next day to kind of give me a reset on those colors. Because usually if you're kind of looking at a monitor for a few hours, editing straight, like 2 or 3 hours straight, you kind of lose like that range of colors right there. And if you step away and look back, you're really gonna notice, wow, I added like a little too many of this colors, or I don't like the lighting, I'm gonna add like this. And then you can even keep doing that and kind of refine that slowly. That's usually what I do to get the best results and really helps me to not over edit your photos. The second thing is using too many presets. And this actually goes kind of into this editing your photos as well, because a lot of people use presets, they'll use super harsh presets, and then they won't actually edit the photo. They'll just use a preset, which is basically a filter over your photo, where a preset really should be used as a base layer. And I use presets for like 99.9% of my photography. Every time I go on a shoot, I'm using presets. Makes it 100 times easier to edit a bunch of photos. And I recommend using presets, and I actually sell presets that you should check out down below. And I totally recommend presets, but presets are just a base layer to your editing. Presets are not, hey, I'm just gonna one click and download it and print it out and send it to clients. That is not what a preset is. A preset is a base layer to what you're actually gonna do. So if I'm using a preset, I'm gonna use the preset, and then, hey, maybe I wanna like take this distraction out using a little masking tool. Maybe I wanna make this color a little bit more abundant here. Maybe the photo's just a little too dark overall, increase the shadows, increase the exposure. And you really wanna use these presets in a good way and not kind of ruin them by using just, hey, let me click it, let me just like crank this up, and then I'm good to go. Because you really have to look at photos multiple times and figure out what you actually want in this photo. And I think that's another thing, kind of looking at a photo and saying, hey, this is what I want to go with this photo. A lot of times where people who aren't that experienced in photography will get a photo and then just start putting presets on it and kind of let the presets tell them where the photo will go. They'll be like, yeah, this photo actually looks really good with this kind of color palette, which, hey, that's good as well, but you want to have your own general direction, or you'll never actually have your own style if you're just using someone else's style. Like if you're using my presets, build your own style off of those presets. Because if you just have the same style, all of your photos are gonna look the same as everyone else using that preset pack. So you really wanna be smart with how you're using those presets and build off of it as a base layer. Third thing I wanna talk about is not looking at horizon lines. So I'm gonna go back to this photo that I took, and I actually just realized this before I was filming, but if you look at this, how this is lined up, it's really flat like here, and the photo would be sideways like this, where the horizon line I had it at is here. But then this beach is just angled downwards. So you really have to look at these horizon lines. And this is also looking at the photos behind me. So this one's taken off of a pier. You can see the big horizon line on the background, which is obviously huge. All the surf photos that I take have waves, and I like to zoom out, and like this one was taken in Oahu and has the big mountains behind it. So I really wanted to zoom out and then have the horizon line shown, because I think that is so important with photography and making sure that that is a straight line, because no matter what subject you're taking, if you have a horizon line that's like going up or down or whatever, your photo is gonna look horrible most of the time. And I'm not saying there are maybe a few times where if you're super close to the subject, it doesn't matter as much, or if the horizon line is kind of blurry and you can't really see it. But if there's a hard horizon line, you always want that perfectly straight across the center, and it makes it easy on your eyes to look at, and also kind of just helps you know what you're looking at in the photo. And it's not kind of sideways and then you're like tilting your head and you're like, what the heck is going on? Because that will ruin your photo even if it's an amazing photo. So make sure you check those horizon lines when you're editing. Fourth thing I want to talk about is bad cropping, which kind of goes off the horizon lines as well. So bad cropping is such a big thing that I've actually been learning, and this also relates to composition, which I just made a video on last week. But having good composition and cropping is crucial to being a good photographer in the surf, sports, and really any industry, portraits especially, landscapes, really anything you're doing, composition is crucial to being a good photographer. And that all comes down to where you start at cropping. So the first thing that I do whenever I open Lightroom, if I find a photo that I like, I'll start to crop it and straighten it right away, because that is just really crucial to actually getting a good photo and making sure that you're not gonna ruin the photo by having a bad crop. Or maybe it's gonna be a great photo, but you can make it an even better photo by making the crop bigger and letting you see the background behind the surfer. There's someone playing sports and there's the huge crowds in the stands behind it, so you zoom out. And there's simple techniques that you can look up, and also just look at your favorite photographers and say, hey, this person is a professional surf photographer. What does he do to make this background of this mountain stand out from the surfer? Or, hey, what does this soccer photographer do when someone scores a goal and the stands are going crazy behind them and they zoom out with still a wide lens though, so it looks like it's right behind them and they're going crazy and they're sliding and their teammates are celebrating? These photographers make this composition and make this crop super important to these photos, because it'll either make or break your photography and is one of the most important things you could do. So make sure to learn this. Also, if you need help, watch the video that I posted last week on this, and watch a bunch more videos on this from other photographers as well in the niches that you really want to focus on, because it is so important. Honestly, I think one of the most important things as a photographer to learn. And the last thing that I want to talk about is not using your whole surroundings. So this goes on top of the bad cropping, just because I think it is honestly so important. Have to keep on pushing this, because it is like makes or breaks your photo. So I'm gonna put a photo on here right now that I took at Black's Beach. This was a crazy photo. It was a super foggy day. Waves were small, conditions were not good. And I got this crazy photo by just trying to think outside the box. And I honestly didn't start doing this till last year in 2024, where I was really trying to zoom out and get those big kind of backgrounds in there. And it makes this photos look so amazing. Even when, if you really got it close up, it'd be like, oh, that's like a cool photo. But making this style is an insane photo that'll transform your photos. And this style, a lot of photographers are doing it now, because it really transforms what you can do with your camera by actually stepping back and using the landscapes and the sunsets and the sky and anything like that to your advantage. And this could be in surfing, like what I do mostly, or in sports if there's, you know, big background like I talked about before. Someone scores, you want the stands in there. Maybe the field, like my baseball field from my school, is overlooking the beach. Maybe you have the beach in the background with someone hitting it. Stuff like that. Using the background and the whole actually landscape for your advantage is so big, and I think is one of the most important things you could do for your photography now to level up in 2025. And that's all I have for the video. Thanks for watching. Comment down below you want to see next in the comments. Like the video, really helps me out. Share the video with your friends and subscribe to see more like this, and see you next video.